Legalized NBA gambling. Paul George staying put. Kevin Durant apologizes. LeBron James disappointed. Damian Lillard responds in 9 games of NBA action. That's what we got on the agenda today, so let's go. Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Exactly, back bringing some more daily NBA news. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs. You're coming back each and every single day. Can't thank you enough. But now let's just get into what we gotta talk about from yesterday. Some people are legit freaking out about this, as big news came out yesterday regarding the NBA now wanting to push through legalized gambling on their games, as long as they get a cut. Sport leagues provide the foundation for sports betting while bearing the risk it imposes, even when regulated. If sports betting is legalized federally or by state, we will need to invest more in compliance and enforcement, and believe it is responsible for operators to pay each league 1% of the total amount bet on its games to help compensate for the risk and expense created and the commercial value of our product provides them. This is similar to approach to legally regulated sports betting in other international jurisdictions. Basically what all that mumbo jumbo meant was, look, illegal sports betting is happening now anyway, and the only possible people who could suffer from it is us, so where's our cut? We want 1% of every bet placed on our game. Which right off the bat, that sounds kind of fair. Might not sound like much. 1%, what's that? You might think that until you realize that Adam Silver said a few years ago that at least $400 billion is illegally gambled on sports every single year. 400 billion. 1% of 400 billion is $4 billion. Back in 2015-2016, the NBA made a total of around $5.8 billion. That number could be closer to around $7 billion per year now, but if they are able to get some of that legalized gambling money as well, I don't even need to mention it. Sheesh, that's $4 billion that they don't need to do anything for. And not to mention, that number would most likely go way up, since if the sports gambling became legalized, more people would do it since it's not illegal now. And on top of that, they'd also be looking to make gambling easier for people, whether it be through apps or some other form of a convenient, simple way to bet money on these games, making it more accessible to everybody. So realistically, with that in the equation, that $4 billion could double or even triple. So great, the NBA is making more money now. Why exactly are people freaking out about this? Well, it's because anytime you introduce gambling to a sport, the risk of that sport becoming fixed goes through the roof. Some people are worried that the NBA itself would start fixing games to maximize their profit. But come on, we don't got to worry about that because of the way this would be set up. The NBA said they want 1% of every bet placed. They don't want 1% of the winnings. No, they want 1% of every dollar earned. Win or lose, they don't care. They make the same amount of money either way. So there will be no incentive for them to fix the games. But then if you think about it, it's not just the NBA here. It's the refs or even the players too. What if they start putting money on the games? Then you have a bunch of Tim Donahues out here trying to fix games to earn a quick buck. And if NBA players start betting against their own teams, maybe they start throwing games to earn some extra income. These are the more legit concerns that some people have. And it would just be up to the NBA to regulate this kind of stuff. Put some laws in place that would deter refs and players from placing bets. Even then, it would almost be impossible for them to completely stop it. If there's an app that would allow you to place a bet, there's no way the NBA could prevent this stuff from happening before it happens. The laws they have in place would just have to be so strict, so threatening, the players and refs wouldn't even think about it because their life would be over if they were ever caught doing this. It appears that Russell Westbrook might have just won over the loyalty of Paul George after his remarks about Paul George being snubbed from the All-Star game. As Paul George was interviewed yesterday, and this is what he had to say about Russell Westbrook's comment and his decision in free agency coming up this summer.
You know, man, Russ is the reason why this decision is becoming even more easier to make is the character Russ is. Stand-up guy, and he has his teammates back.
Paul George and Russell Westbrook were already pretty close before they even became teammates. However, Paul George has said in the past that eventually he does want to win, and now the Thunder are winning. So that, combined with the fact that he knows Russell Westbrook has his back, it's gonna be very hard for Paul George to leave the Thunder this summer. I mean, and just think about it. Paul George wants a situation where he can win a championship. There aren't many better places he could go to than OKC. They're only a couple of pieces away from being one of the favorites to win it all. They get a solid bench, And I'm just saying that's pretty much all they need. What were all the topics of Russell Westbrook's comments about the All-Star game though? I guess we might as well mention this. While he may have done a good job of sticking up for Paul George, he also took some shots at some other players. One of those players being Damian Lillard, when he said that some players only get in because they complain about being snubbed every single year.
We got guys, complaining about getting snubbed until they get in.
And he said that he didn't even have to say any names, we already knew who he was talking about. And Damian Lillard heard these comments as well. And yesterday he responded by saying he deserves his spot in the All-Star game and Russell Westbrook should know this.
I respect Russ a lot. So it was kind of disappointing to see him say that because he's played against me. He's played against our team. He knows what I've accomplished, not just this year, but over my career. So it was a little bit disappointing. But I know that I earned my spot this year. That's pretty much what it is. I earned my spot.
25 points, 6.5 assists, almost 5 rebounds per game, and he also at least has the Blazers in the playoff picture. That's an all-star resume for sure. And it's not like Dame took Paul George's spot because Dame is a backcourt player. Paul George is a frontcourt player. So if Dame didn't make it, it would have been someone like Chris Paul instead and still not Paul George. So story came out late last night claiming that LeBron James is upset that the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't pull the trigger on a certain trade. He's upset that they didn't get both Paul George and Eric Bledsoe when they had the chance. You guys remember that trade? Three-way trade between the Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, and Phoenix Suns, where the Suns would have gotten Irving, the Pacers would have gotten the Suns picking the draft, and the Cavs would have got George and Bledsoe, but the Cavs backed out, and now they are where they are. And I would have understood this whole thing. I maybe would have believed this whole thing if it weren't for one thing. And that thing was LeBron James himself was the reason the Cavs backed out of the trade in the first place. The Cavs approached him with the trade. We're like, look, we got this whole deal lined up. We're ready to pull the trigger. All we want to know from you is if we do this trade, will this get you to commit to us after this year? LeBron James said, no, I'm not going to commit, so the Cavs didn't do the trade. So that's why I don't know if I can truly believe this. I do believe that LeBron James would love to be playing with Paul George and Eric Bledsoe, but at the end of the day, it's because of LeBron James that he's not playing with Paul George and Eric Bledsoe. So how can he be upset with the Cavs when they came to him asking if they should pull the trigger on the trade and he basically said no? This is a first. How many times have you guys ever seen an NBA player publicly apologize to a referee? In the Warriors' last game against the Knicks, Kevin Durant was having a hard time with this one ref in particular. And Kevin Durant after the game said that the ref was out to get him the whole time. And yeah, Durant was eventually tossed from that game by that referee. And he was upset about it until he got home and watched it over again and realized that the reason that the ref was being so hard on him is because he was being hard on the referee first.
Just own up to it. I watched it when I got home. I was like, man, I was wondering why he was coming at me so hard, but then I watched the plays. I was like, yeah, I look like a jerk out there. It was bad. I mean, luckily we won and we can move past it, and I can kind of own up to it. So I'll be better next time.
Low key, maybe he got home was like, I'm about to get fined for what I said about that rep. Let me go apologize so I don't lose out on this $25K. Nah, but it seems sincere, and I don't think Kevin Durant really cares about getting fined $25,000. What do you guys think though? Should the NBA legalize gambling? Is Paul George going to stay in OKC? Is LeBron really upset that the Cavs didn't do that trade? Let me know all of that down in the comment section below. But now we gotta take a real quick look at all the games from last night. Ben Simmons responded to not making the All-Star team in a big way. You could tell that he was trying to prove a point out there, and I think he accomplished it. He had a triple-double in this game, like after the first play of the second half. Finished with 19 points, 17 rebounds, and 14 assists, and the Sixers got the win too. 115-101 over the Bulls. Simmons, you may not have made the All-Star team this year, but it'll probably be the last year for a very long time that you don't make it. You got like 10, 11, 12 All-Star games to look forward to, if not more. Andre Drummond was also looking to send a message about not being selected to the All-Star team, and on a personal level, he did. Man was pure dominance on the court. You look up dominance in the dictionary, you see Andre Drummond's face last night. 30 points, 24 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 6 blocks, for sure all-star level numbers. But unfortunately, the Pistons without a point guard right now just can't beat anyone. Drummond and Kennard play well, but that's about it, as they fall in OT to the Jazz 98-95. Rudy Gobert with 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 blocks. 51 threes attempted. That's insane. Threes are layups. Those are literally the only shots that Mike D'Antoni approves of. 51 threes though. I just can't get over that. And the Rockets still remain undefeated when CP3, Harden, and Capella all play. 104-97, the final score for Dallas, as a Beard had 25 points and 13 assists. Kyrie did a little bit of a lot of everything last night as the Celtics snapped their little 4-game losing streak with a 113-102 win over the Clippers. Irving with 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, while Tatum also played well with 18 points. Aldridge started this game due to rest, but that's okay because Paul took over as he won the battle of the brothers. Gasol with 14 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists, and the Spurs blow 108-85 win over Marc Gasol and the Grizzlies. Still no Jimmy Butler from Minnesota, and unlike the last 2 games, they weren't able to escape this one with the win this time, as the Blazers erupted in the third quarter, scoring 43 points in the third alone to get the 123-114 win. Lillard led the way for Portland with 31, while McCollum was close behind with 28. It's games like this where the Raptors would have just flat out lost in the past, when neither DeRozan or Lowry could get going. But now that other guys are getting more involved, they can still win these type of games. Van Vliet was amazing for Toronto off the bench last night. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and only 18 minutes of action. Dude won them the game while only playing 18 minutes. Other guys are stepping up, and that's been huge for the Raptors this year. 108-93, the final score over the Hawks. Would have thought that Victor Oladipo will be an all-star this year, but Paul George wouldn't be. You know how crazy you would have sounded if you said that when the trade first went down. Pacers win over the Suns 116-101 thanks to the new all-star Depot with 21 points, 9 assists, and 3 steals. No historic performances in this one, but it was still a win for the Pelicans. They're not a bad team by any means. I just don't know how better they can get with the roster they have and their financial situation and all that other stuff. 101-96, the final score of the Hornets. Boogie with 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists, while Dwight Howard had 22 points and 16 rebounds for Charlotte. That wraps up all the action from last night. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to smack that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on more daily NBA news in the future, as well as join the quest to 200K hashtag a million in a year. Remember to vote for the player of the day, but also remember the only players whose team won are eligible to win player of the day. And yesterday that player was Kobe Kuzma in his 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Thank you guys once again for watching. I'll see all of you right back here tomorrow for more NBA news, but until then, I am out of here. Peace.